Hi friends, this video covers chapter 9 section 1 Roman daily life. It has a lot of stuff, so it will probably go over 10 minutes. I know your time is important, but this has some really cool things in this section that I wanted to take some time to talk about. So a new chapter, but again dealing with Rome. We had the same thought question earlier. We had a section entitled The Glory of Ancient Greece. Now it's the glory of ancient Rome. We should always ask ourselves again, to whom is this glory owed? There's going to be a lot of really, really impressive accomplishments that will occur in the Roman Empire. But again, who is it for? Ordinary farmers, slaves, women. And also, too, I like this section because I think it's a great reminder. History, as we define it in our class again, is literally just the story of everyone. And sometimes it's great conquerors like Julius Caesar or Alexander the Great, or great writers like Homer or Virgil who get remembered. But literally, our course is about everyone. And I think this section does a good job addressing the everyone that is in our textbook. So first, we have another Roman author, Martial, who has another call similar to Virgil's. He writes, "Goddess of continents of peoples, O Rome, whom nothing can equal and nothing approach." Again, this section really highlights on Rome, the city, and its impact in the Mediterranean world. This is, again, the Roman Empire, and Rome would extend its influence over all of the areas from as far northwest as Britain to the Arabia, Judea, and Syria to Africa to the middle of Europe. It was a huge empire. But who were the actual citizens in Rome? We think some estimates say that there were maybe 1 million people who lived in Rome, but not all of them were citizens, as you have probably guessed before. We had wealthy male landowners who owned property who were at first counted as citizens. I'm going to come back to this point in just a second because I think we can make a comparison to another chapter in history. Initially, only people in the actual city and in Italy could be counted. This was especially true during the Republic. But as Rome expanded into places like present day Spain and Gaul, now France, eventually that citizenship was extended, but only to select groups of people. So as Rome does expand, more people could be counted as citizens to provide more money, more taxes. The Romans also were some of the first people to conduct a census, which was done every 10 years to count official citizens. And we can make a comparison to our world today in that we still have a census every 10 years. In fact, I just filled out mine not long ago. Whoops, low battery. Censuses are conducted to include information about taxes, like we need to know how many people are here, so how many people will pay money, and also government representation today. So the Romans conducted census 2,000 years ago, and that's still happening, at least in the United States as well. Back to this initial point about wealthy male landowners who own property. Here's a picture of the Senate, and these are, again, the people who are citizens who are serving in the Senate, and you'll notice that they all kind of look the same. And we can kind of see a comparison that in what we'll get to eventually is the foundation of the United States of America. John Trumbull's depiction of the signing of the Declaration. All these people kind of look the same. And it reflects a theme in history, again, that the granting of citizenship to all people, regardless of their race, gender, religion, or ethnicity, etc., has historically been a slow process. We know that in the United States and in many Western countries today, citizens don't look just like this, wealthy white guys, but they have been expanded to all groups of people. But historically, it's been a slow process. In the case of the United States, first it was male property owners, and then it was, or white male property owners, and then it was white property owners, and eventually white males 21. Eventually, African Americans get the right to vote, women get the right to vote. But again, this is all over the world. Historically, it's just been a slow process, which can bring up a lot of thought questions for later on. There was a wealth gap in Rome today. Our text shows this illustration of a villa, and this would be look, there's an atrium, study, a bedroom, a dining room. This is very uncommon. Most Roman citizens did not live in villas, but they did look pretty cool. So another thought question is, in what ways is Rome's wealth gap similar to the wealth gap present today? How is it the same? How is it different? Rome had disparities amongst the richest of rich and the poorest of poor. But what about everybody else? Most Roman citizens lived in apartment buildings made of wood, which was really bad when Rome had its fire in 68 or 69 with Nero. There was a lot of buildings that went up in flames. There was no running water, toilets, or kitchens, so the amenities and the amenities were not the same. Most seafood, which is what the Romans ate, being around the Mediterranean Sea, had to be carried inside of the building. The Colosseum, our text notes, created in 70 AD, could house 50,000 people. So this was actually an event where you could go and see gladiators fight. 50,000 people could be inside of that, which again speaks to Roman architecture. This was something that the wealthy could attend. They had private boxes, but it was also something that common people could afford. Hey, here's some weird dude who's actually at the Colosseum, which was created during the reign of Vespasian. There were fights between gladiators that were cheered wildly by the Romans. In our class, we talk a lot about this today, and Romans would fight to the death. Gladiators, people would be cheering them on, and sometimes we might say, wow, how could they do that? But then I asked the question in class, what's the loudest point? If you go to a hockey game, what's the loudest it ever gets? I don't think it's when someone scores a goal. I think it's when someone starts a fight in a gladiator match. So are the Romans so different from us? I don't know. Just something to think about. But hey, this weird dude at the Colosseum. I'm going to interrupt this video to say the most important theme ever. It's why it's in a giant yellow box. Traveling is the best way. Why don't these marks go away? I got to figure that out. Traveling is the best way to learn about this world we inhabit. I'll make this fast. I think you should read about somewhere interesting and then go. That's the coolest thing. Read about something that you're interested in and then go and visit it. Talk to the people that live there. Be polite, be kind, be curious. I think lots of times people are excited to share their culture with other people. So talk to them. Find the right appropriate way to do so. Get outside of your comfort zone. It is okay to be curious about something and then to ask someone about it. It's hard at first, but I promise, it's good later. Go somewhere you didn't think you would go. That's kind of cool too. Taking a line from Alexander Hamilton, especially when you're in a different culture and different country, talk less, listen more. You have more to learn about, I think less to talk about. And traveling doesn't have to sound as expensive as it sounds. We talked about this in 7th grade. They're cool, efficient ways to travel. If you want to learn more about those, I can hopefully make a video sometime about it then. But then again, most everybody else in Rome then too. Here are the last 3 sections covered. Men controlled the household in Roman society, but it's going to be a little bit different from the way that it happened in Greece. The definition, the Romans call it the paterfamilias, which means the father of the family and the head of the household. What the father said happened in the rest of the family. It wasn't really uncommon for like 3 generations of family members to live in the same home. So you definitely did have generations of families staying together, which showed a close kin network. Some were awarded assistance from the government in the form of welfare. The Roman Emperor Trajan helped to implement this process. So if there were extremely poor citizens in Rome, oftentimes they were given assistance to kind of prop them up. Latin was the language spoken amongst the Romans then too. We can make a connection to our world. Latin will inspire other Romance languages such as French, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. This makes sense. Italy, Latin, the language spoken then here. France is a derivative of a Romance language. This isn't Romance like ooh la la. This is Romance like Rome. Spain, Portugal, Germanic languages are different, but also Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese. Again, these are all Romance languages. They're all similar to one another. The freedom, here's where women differ from women in Greece. The freedom of wealth of a woman in Rome depended to a large extent on the wealth of the husband, unlike Athenian women. So women did have more rights in Rome, but only if they had more money, where they had opportunities to extend and be present in society. They weren't expected to just mind the household and not be seen, as was the case in Greece. Here is a portrait of a woman from Pompeii that was preserved. We can see that she looks like she has a little bit more money. She's reading a book maybe with some kind of a pen. She is able to change the designs in her hair. So there were more freedom awarded to women in Rome. Slavery was very much so common amongst wealthy families, especially in Rome. This was the same thing that happened in Greece and Peloponnesus would be prevalent in Italy too. Caesar took many slaves when he was traveling and pursuing conquests in Gaul then too. So we see that as another unfortunate chapter in the history of the Romans as well then too. Hopefully this video gave you a picture of kind of what life was like for all of the other Romans.